Welcome! So, one of the more anticipated synths have been released. Of course, I'm talking about the Massive X. I think it's due time that we take a look under the hood of this synth. My name is Matthias and let's take the Massive X tour. Okay, so here we have a Massive X from Native Instruments, and the original Massive is one of Native Instruments' more renowned synths. So let's see how this Massive X holds up. Let's first take a listen to some of the presets, because I guess you want to hear how this synth actually sounds before we dive in and look at the user interface. Okay, so let's talk about the user interface on Massive X. It has a very nice clean white finish with nice reddish and blue-green colors. It reminds me, of course, of Teenage Engineering design. I'm thinking about the OP1 and the OP-Z. It's definitely not a bad thing. I really like that kind of nice and sleek design. So let's talk about the modules here in Massive X. First we have two oscillators. And they are wavetables, so we can choose between different wavetables here. You can see there's a line below these headlines, and that means that they have a sub-menu, so just click them and then you will bring up this menu. Then we have a noise module, also with multiple noise tables that you can select from. Then we have the filter section, also features multiple filters like comb, blue monarch, and state variable filters. Then we have three different slots for wave shaping and distortions, and also sample and hold module. Then an amp section with feedback, and last but not least, three modules for effects. So here you have your reverbs, and a stereo expander, and some stereo delays. The good thing here about the delays is that you can set different delay times at these slots, and then you can have this parameter modulate between these different delay times. So that's a quite nice new feature. And you have different delay types like natural, warm and hot. Okay, and down below here we have the voices tab, and here we can control the unison spread, and the amount of voices for the unison. Then we have this brand new routing tab, and this is the node-based modular editor for Massive X. And here we can see our oscillators and the signal generators. We have the noises here, and they go to the PM and to the filter, currently set to the Monarch filter. Then the signal continues in this cable to our effects section. We have some reverbs, stereo expander and stereo delays. Then the signal continues and goes to the output here. I really like the visual representation here, because a node-based editor gives you a very good overview of your sound design, so you can follow the signal path and really see how this sound is created. You can detach cables just by double-clicking, and yeah, drag a new cable here. Okay, then we have some performers. If you're familiar with the old version of Massive, you know what the performers are. Then we have the envelope section of Massive X, but please note that the parameter values does not update the envelope graphical display here. So we can't really tell by looking at the image if this is a plaque or if this is a pad. That's quite sad, but I bet Native Instruments is working hard on an update to fix this issue, because it's rudimentary to really know this. And here we have the LFO section of Massive X. They can be switched to modulation envelopes if you want. But yeah, here we can select the shape of that LFO and the rate, of course. So these are three switchable LFOs. This one is a random LFO. Then we have another set of envelopes and LFOs. So there's a lot of LFOs and envelopes if you want to have that. And here we have some additional envelopes. Another thing to note here about the knobs in the Massive, I'm using a Wacom here, but if I'm using the Wacom to adjust the values, it's kind of accelerating, so it's very hard to pinpoint and set a right value. If I'm using the mouse, it's a little bit better, but they've added some kind of inertia to the setting, so they feel kind of sluggish when you are adjusting the parameters. Then finally we have the VR modulator, which is a kind of voice randomization modulator, so you can add a subtle randomization to your parameters. Another important thing to note about modulation in Massive X is really the visibility of the source and the target in a modulation relation. Okay, so if we take this LFO4 and we want to modulate the wave scanning or the wavetable position of this first oscillator, you press this modulation source button and these modulation target rectangles appear. But they are very hard to see at the moment. I really think that Native Instruments should make them more visible so we can see the target more visibly. And if I drag up this amount, we get our modulation. But we can't really see at the moment the value or the parameter value of the LFO. We can see the amount that we are modulating, but we can't see really where in this area the current modulation is. So we need a way to see the oscillation of the LFO like we can do in all other synthesizers. If we take Faceplant here, for example, where I think they have solved modulation really great. Here we can see the LFO sweeping. We can see the oscillation. And we can see the source here very clearly. Press the source and all these targets light up in the interface. So it's very easy and visual to see where we can apply modulation. So say we want to modulate the mix here of the reverser. And look, yeah, we can see the oscillation of the LFO, how it affects that parameter. And if we hover over a parameter like this, we can also instantly see that this is connected to this LFO because it lights up. So Massive X really don't have to reinvent any wheels here. They just have to borrow some modulation solutions from other companies. So we can see the LFO sweeping. Okay, so while this is not a sound design video with Massive X, you can let me know in the comments if you would like to see a video of some sound design with Massive X. But we can go in here and look at how to initialize a preset. Go up to the menu at the top and select Quick Start. And here we can select either Init Massive X or Init Massive X as a blank. The difference here is if you set Init Massive X, it will preset your routing, so you have oscillator being routed to the filter and yeah, to the output and the effect section here. But if you select the Init Massive X blank, you will have a total blank slate, so you won't have any sound being routed from the oscillator to your output section. So you have to do that by yourself here and drag a cable in the routing here to your filter and to the output. And yeah, select your filter types, etc. Okay, so let's quickly look at some of the wavetables and oscillator effects on Massive X. Here we have Casper Monix with a gorilla shaper. Let's take another one here, the bend, the random, so as with Massive, this would be an excellent synth for dubstep and EDM. Okay, so personally I really like the sound of Massive X. It has a great sound to it, very modern sound. And this Teenage Engineering inspired design is quite compelling. But Native Instruments really need to think about their customers, because this feels like an early access of the synth. It's not finished by all means, because we really need to see the LFO values and the envelopes, how they are graphically set up. Yeah, but I'm confident and sure that the Native Instrument will fix these graphical issues in a coming update. It shouldn't be that hard for a company that released the FM8 Form and the old Massive. It's a very nice synth, and I bet the Massive X will be a very great product in the end, but as of now, it's early access. So I highly suggest that you download the demo on Massive X and find out if it's a synthesizer for you. Okay, so if you have any questions on this video or Massive X, please shoot them in the comment section below. Okay, thanks for watching today. My name is Matthias, and let's roll the credits. My eyes were wide, but now they're closed. I have so much to say about how you behave. Your skin is white as snow, and the knobs may be red and blue. Still I'm not that convinced. I guess faceplant won the race.